To learn rapidly, you must push past the limits of focus. This is Old Dog, New Tricks. Initiate practice mode.
Welcome to Old Dog, New Tricks, where I, as an older dog, am trying to apply some neuroscience lessons, some techniques for learning, and improving my rapid learning to a number of skills. But in this case, trying to bring up my chess game. Athletes don't get better by watching highlight reels. They get better by breaking down their own tape. Snowboarder Shaun White even said that AI is changing how snowboarders train because it lets them analyze their performance faster and more precisely. So now I'm digging into that with chess. I'm taking a suggestion from a recent YouTube video from chess grandmaster Noel Studer and applying his 3x3 review method to one of my own games to see how far it can actually take me. So in his model, he identifies 3 key moments, asks 3 questions for each of them, and challenges us to leverage those insights to raise the floor of our chess game. So instead of breaking down every detail of every game, analyzing a little bit more precisely. So I'm still fairly new to chess, about 32 days on chess.com, but I have come up with a bit of a practice routine. So I'll walk you through a bit of my daily routine. So first off, and you can use any platform that you like, but for myself, I started off on chess.com. So I like trying to start off with the puzzle of the day. So we've got a white move here, and I like to use the model pretty basic, but trying to drill in the idea of checks, captures, and threats. I'm really trying to use that through any move in the game as well that I play. Alright, so it's white's move. Black king is here central. Do I have any checks? I could check with the rook. Either way, try to stack these. Obviously the queen is a threat. Do have a check here with the bishop. If we bring the bishop here, the rook would take. That doesn't help. Bringing the rook into the d file, the knight can take. That doesn't really help. And bringing the other rook over might be an option. So trying to figure out if that's what the puzzle is after. Could also look to captures. If we capture the knight, then we could be taken by the queen. Does that help us to move the queen out of the way for anything? Oh, and we do have this bishop that, so this looks like a bishop and rook. All right, so that was the right move. We have sort of this crisscross bishop and rook in game position. And first thing in the morning, starting with a daily puzzle as a warm-up may not be the best move, but that's how I like to start, a little bit of a challenge. All right, so bringing the other rook into play is apparently the solution we're looking for here. So we could check. King can't take because the bishop is there, and apparently quite easy, but not so much for me. So I've been consuming a lot of chess content lately, but not a lot of it has necessarily been active learning. That's fine if I'm out walking the dogs, doing the dishes, prepping lunches in the mornings, to have a video on, but it doesn't necessarily tie into my learning strategy using neuroscience and focused learning, especially as an older learner, to try to improve my game. In that recent YouTube video by Grandmaster Studer, he talked about most of us either review too many games or don't review enough games, and we do it pretty passively. We go through and click through the engine lines, and that doesn't necessarily lead to learning. So the model I like to use, Ultralearning by Scott Young. There's a book out there, quite a good read, very insightful. It's all about directness, learning the thing by doing the thing. So for example, either playing the game of chess or in this case, a few puzzles. So we've got black to move. Where's our king here? So instead of just watching more content, I'm trying to build a practice system where my own games generate the drills. Ideally, the puzzles and drills that I go through would come from my own weaknesses in my own game. In the ultralearning methodology, it goes through 9 stages or pillars of ultralearning. Directness, we talked about a little bit. Drill, well known to most chess players, I think, if you're going through puzzles or you're practicing positions. And retrieval is the art or the skill of remembering what you need to learn and what you need to remember. So for me, I've tried to capture that in a bit of a daily practice loop. A little bit of warm-up with puzzles, pattern recognition, some drill on some openings, maybe play a game. That's where Studer's analysis comes in as well afterward, doing a game review, figuring out the lessons we really need to drill home, build and create those drills. I talked at the start about how athletes review game tape, review their games, and more are using AI to help really drive home the improvements that need to happen. And we can do that with chess engines as well, as long as we do it in the right way and we don't just passively review using the engines. That's the theory anyway, and I'm here on Old Dog New Tricks to try to put that theory into practice, do it in real time, see if it actually works, and see if it can be applied to an older learner like me. I'm very interested in the neuroscience of aging brains, since I have one, and how we can apply these lessons if they work at all ages. I do believe you can teach an old dog new tricks. I do believe old dogs can learn new tricks on their own. All right, so continuing with the daily practice routine, a little bit of an example of how I tackle things. I've seen a ton of videos online from masters and experienced chess players saying, oh, if I had it to do all over again, here's how I would improve, here's how I'd learn chess, here's how I'd get to 1500, 2000 ELO and beyond. So trying to distill those lessons between watching the videos, jotting down notes, and using AI to summarize the key points, came up with a bit of a routine. It's ever evolving, but part of that is definitely reviewing games. So instead of just playing constantly and not learning, take some lessons from places like chess.com and articles online, try to apply them to my games, and then once I have done the game, review it. All right, so the 3x3 method that I picked up out of that YouTube video. Why did I choose the move I played? Why was it wrong? And why was the move, why was a better move better? I've been seeing a lot of recommendations not to just jump into the game review and have the engine or the bot tell you what you should have done and where you missed, but to take a more active approach. So for this game that I played yesterday, I'll click through. It was a pretty short game, only about 15 moves. So went with sort of a non-standard opening. Not exactly sure why, I just wanted to mix it up. Still don't have my repertoire for black nailed down just yet. Let's start some exchanges. So at this point where I've taken a pawn and a bishop, given up a knight, and captured another knight in exchange for that pawn. They drive forward a little bit. Not sure if that's just to save from the pawn to capture, or if that's to try to tempt me into bringing the bishop out and maybe taking it with the queen to make up some pieces. All right, seemed like a good time for a castle. So they bring out their knight. No capture on that. Again, not a huge threat maybe to come down and threaten my rook. Not able to take necessarily if they come down here with the queen, because then they'll just take the queen with a pawn. Figure I'll play my bishop out a little bit here. At this stage, I'm eyeing this c2 square, thinking if I bring my knight in with a check and potentially settle for the rook, if they protect it, so they won't want to give up their queen to take my knight. They're trying to put pressure on the knight, but that basically doesn't really affect my plan. So as described, thinking I can put the king in check, so they can either take and lose their queen, or they can move their king to one of two squares. They can come to d2 or the f1 space. We'll see what the engine says about that. If I were playing white, I'm not sure exactly what I would have done here. I probably would have tucked over into the corner here, would have lost a rook, but that's not, if I remember right, what they ended up doing. So they bring the king out, I assume to threaten the knight. And I had recently done a lesson talking about bishop checkmates. Obviously, I've got the knight covered, so the king isn't able to move here or here on the next move. Looking at checks, two options: either use the bishop and check the king, or bring the queen down and check the king. Again, the knight is safe, so at first was weighing those options, what would be the better option, but then realized that moving the bishop actually is a checkmate. So from previous games, that's a weakness I've identified that I need to work on. I've been drilling on is not missing out on checkmate opportunities. So pretty quick game here. Went my way despite the kind of strange opening. We can go through the analysis here and start over with some quick clicks. So not a bad idea either to go through the engine lines. No huge swings until that point. Me bringing the bishop out, which I thought was a decent move to protect my knight and develop it. Swung the analysis about two pieces in white's favor. Wanted me to initiate the sort of chain in the middle here instead of bringing out the bishop. All ended up working out in the end, but kind of interesting how some of those early stage moves move the needle. Quite the swing here from being up 3 pieces to me being up a piece and a half, so about a 5-point swing just with that move of the knight. We'll go pretty quickly here, trying to apply the 3x3 method. Biggest recommendation for them to maintain the advantage was d6, threaten the bishop, and not be able to have me threaten this pawn. So I guess it's really this last move between mate in 1, which I ended up finding with the bishop to cover d2, or only being down about 5.6 through moving the king over to f1. So maybe somewhere that I'll play out to see if white can turn it around from this stage. If they move to f1 from down, maybe get a computer, get a bot to play black from this position, turn it around, and see what I can learn from there. But all in all, fairly short game. Lessons learned from there. Basically just the opening techniques, opening practice, maybe stick to a more solid black opening. Even though the end result worked out, doesn't necessarily mean that all the decisions were the best all the way through. There's a great book, Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke, talks about poker and making the right decisions, and how just because you win a hand or you get the outcome that you want, it doesn't mean that your decision making all the way through was solid. You can still refine that. So same idea with chess. All right, so that wraps up today's video on my daily chess improvement loop, my evolving practice routine. Every day trying to get a little bit better, trying to adjust the routine. So I'd be curious what practice techniques you use, if you have any recommendations, if there's anything I talked about that you find isn't effective, if you have shortcuts, techniques, recommended additions to the loop to beef it up and make it even more effective. Drop a comment, and I'd be grateful to hear from you, and looking forward to hearing your insights and maybe working them into a future video, a future stream, or my own practice routine.
Old dog, new tricks.